Okay, so next our author mentions a very short topic on the lesser pilgrimage known as the Umrah, which can be done at any time of the year and it's disliked to do on 5 days. Now the lesser pilgrimage, the Umrah, we've already covered all of it. It comes in the main Hajj anyway. But we'll mention it as a separate subject here. So the Umrah is a sunnah that is emphasized and is valid any time throughout the year. Although it is prohibitively disliked, makruh tahriman, on 5 days, namely the days of Arafah, the day of sacrifice, and the 3 days of Tashriq, i.e. the 9th through to the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. Now, any other day you can do Umrah, is not a problem, but on these are the days of Hajj, right? So if somebody who is out of the area but manages to get into Mecca, or he's a resident of Mecca and he's not performing Hajj that year, right? If he decides, oh, I want to get into the spirit of the festive spirit of things, and I want to don the ihram and I want to do the Umrah, will his Umrah be accepted? Yes, it will be accepted, but it's disliked. He shouldn't have done it on that day, because those are not the days for Umrah for outsiders. Rather, any other day around the year, they have open access to the masjid to do the Umrah. So then our author says, one enters the state of pilgrim sanctity ihram outside the sacred precinct after entering Mecca. The pilgrim performs tawaf around the sacred house in 7 rounds and then performs 2 rakas of tawaf, 2 rakas, or not of tawaf, of the 2 cycles of prayer, the nawafila, followed by the sa'i of 7 rounds between Safa and Marwa. He then shaves his head or trims his hair, by which he exits the state of pilgrim sanctity. So it's very simple. It's very, very simple. If somebody wants to perform the Umrah, the mawaqit, once you're at one of them, you make your niyyah. So if you're flying in, it would most probably be Jeddah. So as you're flying over Jeddah, that's when they tell you. If you're flying even from Medina, if you're flying from Medina, whatever your closest miqat is, they'll tell you, and that's where you change into your clothes. If you're coming by road, they normally have a mosque close by, very big mosques actually, where you can shower and do everything you need to do and then get into your ihram. Then you make your niyyah and then you enter the sacred territory, and then everything that was forbidden, the things that you were allowed to do outside, you can no longer do, such as you cannot have sexual intercourse, you cannot pluck hair, remove hair, you can't shave your head unless you've completed the ihram and things like that. You completed the Umrah. So you basically, it could take you, if you're on camelback, it could take you a day or 2 or 3 to get to Mecca. If you're not, if you're on bus, it'll take you a few hours. You basically go to the holy house. You enter the masjid. Now, as you enter the masjid, remember we said that once you see the Kaaba, you make the dua, right? And the best supplication at that point is to say, oh Allah, please accept all my supplications. And then you head into the inner precinct, the inner part of the masjid, and then you basically walk towards your right until you can see the green light, because the green light is opposite the corner where the black stone is. You've got the Yemeni corner and then you've got the black stone, and from there you basically start your rites. You basically go to the black stone. If you can kiss it, you kiss the black stone. If not, you use a stick. If not, you kiss the stick. If not, you just point at it if there's too many people. And then Bismillah ar-Rahman Allahu Akbar. And then you start your rounds. You make sure that you are outside of that semicircular structure, because that's considered part of the Kaaba. If you can get inside to pray nawafila, that's excellent. But you basically do your 7 rounds first before you decide to go inside. And when you walk around towards the other side, actually, just before the side that's facing the Rukn Yemeni, you'll always find that wall empty. No matter how busy the masjid is, you'll always find that you can touch that place. So get very close. And there's actually a method to it. You keep close. You basically keep close to that wall and you'll get to touch that wall. So then when you get to the Yemeni corner, you can try, it's always exposed, so you can touch the Yemeni corner. You supplicate the supplications that are recommended for each round. They don't necessarily have to be from the Sunnah, but they are supplications that the greats before us have done. And it's a maqam of supplication. You can do dhikr, you can read Quran, you can supplicate, you could meditate, you could even talk, right? Tawaf is an act of worship that as opposed to other acts of worship such as salah, you can actually talk. But it's advisable not to talk. It's advisable to be in your zone and to do your ibadah, to do your adhkar, make your supplication. You can touch the area of the Rukn Yemeni, you can try to kiss it if you can. And then basically that's where the line starts for the black stone now, right? And you'll see how busy it is. At that point, people normally try to head out because there's a lot happening there. There's a lot of moving and shoving and screaming going on. So at that area, don't move out wide, because the wider you go, the longer it will take for you to do your rounds. Because naturally people make way there because of what's happening, and you find a passage right next to the black stone, and you'll actually be very, very close to the black stone, but you won't be able to touch it because that's where a lot of the upheaval's happening. So you point to the black stone again, and that's your one round complete. You basically point to the black stone, then you just basically walk around. Now you're opposite the door. You're opposite the door of the Kaaba. And again, that's the place just next to you is the station of Ibrahim. And that place, try to do your second round, third round, fourth round, all of your rounds within the station, because outside of the station it's longer. If you're within the station, you're very close to the Kaaba, you'll get a chance to even touch the Kaaba. That front wall where the door is, surprisingly, you'll always get a chance. Just like the chance on the other side, you'll get a chance here as well of touching the Kaaba. So you basically head in, you'll see people reading Nawafila, you be careful, don't fall over them, don't trample them, go past them, touch, and you can actually get to the door as well, and you can put your hands up on the door and put your right cheek and supplicate. And from then, once you've done that, you leave it, and then you face towards your right again with your left shoulder towards the Kaaba. And remember, we're doing the Ramal here, right? So if you can, you're actually in the part now where you're supposed to be jogging anyway. So you try your shoulders uncovered for 3 rounds, and you're trying to jog. And then you basically walk around. So walk around that semicircular wall, and then you walk back towards the other side, and then that wall again is going to be empty, and then the Yemeni corner, and then it's the last corner, and then it's the black stone again. You basically do 7 rounds. Once you've done that, then you read 2 rakas, which is wajib. It's ideal to pray by the station of Ibrahim. It's recommended that's from the Quran, to take that place as a place of worship. If you can't pray, because obviously there's crowds there, and more likely than not you're not going to be able to pray, then anywhere in the masjid is sufficient, unless it's the 3 times we mentioned before that you do not pray in those 3 times. Then you drink Zamzam water, and then you head towards Safa Marwa, which is going to be behind you, where you're going to be praying. It's going to be behind you. You head towards Safa Marwa. As you enter, you're going to be closer to the side of Marwa, right? But you need to be towards the side of Safa. So you basically head towards Safa. You cannot start from here, right? You can't just cross over lanes and then say, I'm going to walk towards Marwa because it's closer. No, you have to go to Safa. You go all the way to Safa. From Safa, you turn this way, you're facing the Kaaba. You can see the Kaaba. Depending on where you stand, you will see the Kaaba. And then you supplicate. And there is a dua from the Quran. You supplicate, and then you can do any supplication, and then you can either walk around, depending on what floor you're on, you can walk around the hill, and then walk down the long gangway towards Marwa. And as you're walking, you'll see the green lights, right? You'll see maybe it's 50 yards of green lights. At that point, you start to jog. If you're a woman, obviously you don't jog. If you're a man, you jog. And then once you get past that, then you start walking again. You walk all the way to the end. Then that's Marwa, and you do exactly the same thing in Marwa as you did in Safa. You can actually walk around again. You can supplicate. You can even sit down if you're tired. And then you descend down again, and then you do your second round. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When you finish, you end up in Marwa, right? Now, at that point, then your Umrah is over, right? So now, to exit the state of Ihram, the sanctified state, you need to shave. As mentioned before, the shaving, it's a minimum quarter of a head, right? It's ideal to shave completely. Women cut a little bit, men shave completely. If not, then 1 joint, like an inch, 1 joint of a finger, this much, from all over. Now, where you are, you're going to be at the Safa Marwa end, right? So if you leave through those doors, there's an open plain, and that is where the house, the blessed house of Rasulullah is situated, which is a library. Now you'll see that. If you can walk towards there, and then you walk towards this side of Mecca, and you'll see the barbers' shops, they'll call you themselves, they're on the sides. If you need to get back to your side of the masjid, then it's a very, very long walk, and because of the new extension of the mosque they're making now, it's actually impossible for you to walk around this way. However, this way you can walk around, but it means going through the masjid, and it's a very fine corridor, because behind that is a mountain, and it's Abu Qubais mountain. So it's better for you actually to come back into the mosque. So when you're at Marwa, it's better for you to walk towards the direction of Safa and then enter the mosque, walk through the mosque, so around the Kaaba again, and then enter from that way. And then any side of the mosque that you enter there, nowadays it's restricted anyway where you enter. There's only 1, 2, 3 gates that are really open, 1, 2, 3 gates here, and they end up in the same side, the kind of the precinct at the front by the clock tower and by Makkah Towers and Masjid al-Tawheed, is a hotel, Darul Taqwa, and then you'll see the barbers. People will call you over, then you go and cut your hair. If you don't need a barber, then you can cut your own hair, and that's it. You're out of pilgrim sanctity, and that's it really. That's it. Once you've done that, that's the Umrah. Right, so it basically consists of 3 steps. You get to the miqat, you wear the ihram. Once you've worn the ihram, you basically head towards the masjid. You go straight in, you see the Kaaba, you start to do 7 rounds from the black stone. Once that, you pray 2 rak'ah nafil, and then you do Safa Marwa 7 times, and then you shave your head, and that's it. It's very, very simple. Umrah is very, very simple. I just explained it the way that people do it, because it does make it easier, right? It will make it easier. And you'll find your own ways. The more times you do tawaf, the more times you do Umrah, you'll see patterns in where the crowds are and where the crowds are not, and at what points you can get in very close to the Kaaba and not. So an important notice, the best days, our author says the best days is the day of days is the day of Arafah if it falls on a Friday, which is better than 70 Hajj pilgrimages without a Friday, as has been narrated with rigorous authentications from the Prophet, peace be upon him. Now, this statement, it's hard to authenticate this hadith, right? Imam Sharambaluli has used it. Maybe he was party to some information that we don't have today, or maybe he was hinting at something, but it's hard to authenticate this hadith. But no doubt what he's actually hinting at, which is the virtue of a Friday. So if Hajj falls on a Friday, Friday has many, many virtues in it anyway. And then subhanAllah, for Hajj to fall on the same day, it's like stellar. So yes, definitely we can see the message in this and we understand what he's saying here. However, the hadith is not an authentic narration, and may Allah bless the Imam for his efforts in teaching us the rites of Hajj. And that's it. وصلى الله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.